Madam President, thank you very much. I rise tonight to speak about a challenge that is confronting our middle-class families all across my home state of Pennsylvania and across the country. The presiding officer knows this issue well and has worked tirelessly to enact measures of public policy to confront this problem. And we have an opportunity now with her leadership, as well as other leaders here in the Senate, to work together on what I think is the kind of legislation that will help those middle-income families. The Bank on Students Emergency Loan Refinancing Act, which I'm a proud co-sponsor of, is an opportunity, I think, for the Senate, folks in both parties who hear from middle-class families all the time about a range of issues. I doubt there's any issue that we hear about more often than the cost of higher education. So I want to, as I'm sure many other members of this body want to, ensure that every student in our states, and for me, every student in Pennsylvania, gets something very fundamental, a fair shot to attend college and reach their full potential. The bill that we're considering would help students who have private and public loans in good standing from before July the 1st of 2013. It allows them a chance to refinance those loans at a 3.68% interest rate, the level that was agreed to in last summer's bipartisan loan compromise, student loan compromise. This compromise, as we might remember, passed the Senate overwhelmingly, 81-18. With interest rates near record lows, homeowners, businesses, and even local governments with good credit regularly can refinance their debts, but few, if any, students have that same option. Why shouldn't more Americans be helped by the opportunity to pay a lower interest rate? That's a question I think we all ask tonight and on the days that we're debating this issue. More than 40 million Americans owe almost $1.2 trillion in student loan debt, much more than is owed, for example, on credit cards. According to the Institute for College Access and Success, as of the year 2012, Pennsylvania ranked third in the nation on the highest average student debt indicator. Nearly $32,000 per student is the number in Pennsylvania, and 70% of graduates in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania leave college with debt, the fourth highest of any state in the Union. Too many young Americans can't get ahead because they can't get out from under the burden of student debt. Because of their debt, many Americans are unable to buy a home, save for retirement, start a business, or even start a family. This hurts the economy terribly, and it makes the American dream so much harder for young Americans to reach. At an 18-year low, the rate of home ownership among young people has been cut in half since 2001. A record-breaking number of young adults are still living in their parents' homes. High levels of student debt make it harder for entrepreneurs to start new businesses and create jobs. Entrepreneurial activity among 20 to 34-year-olds is at the lowest level in 20 years. We know that this bill could help at least 1.2 million Pennsylvanians and more than 25 million across the nation, according to the Department of Education. Based on calculations from the Congressional Research Service, a typical Pennsylvanian who owed the state average, nearly $32,000 in student debt, would be able to save more than $4,000 over the life of their loan. This bill would not only save millions of Americans, but the bill itself would save the federal government more than $14 billion over 10 years, based on figures from the Congressional Budget Office. A college education, we all know, is the surest path to middle-class success and is still the best investment a student can make. Getting a college degree opens the door to job opportunities. For the average worker, that means $1 million more in earnings over a lifetime compared to those who only go as high as a high school diploma. So a college education is indeed tied directly to the economic success of young people across the country. This bill is a step in the right direction, would do much to tackle the problem of student loan debt. However, Congress and the nation still have a lot of work to do to make college affordable for all of our children. So, Mr. President, what we're talking about here is something very fundamental. All we're asking is that the House and the Senate, both parties, come together to give students and their families just a fair shot. That's all they're asking for. They're basically saying to us, especially middle-class families, are saying to us, you folks in Washington talk all the time about the middle class, but you need to act on our behalf. And unfortunately, they don't see enough action coming out of Washington that directly impacts their lives, that directly has an impact on their economic fortunes, their economic future. This is one of those rare opportunities. With one vote, with one bill, we can have a substantially positive impact on the lives of literally millions of Americans as soon as the bill is enacted into law. I would venture to say that when you talk to any middle-class family, if student loans and the cost of college isn't the number one issue they mention, it's certainly in the top 2 or 3. And for most middle-class families, it's number 1. And yet, they haven't seen much in the way of direct action that we can take here in Washington to provide a measure of relief, not a magic wand, not eliminating all the pressure and all of the burdens that people have when it comes to affording college. But this is one bill that can provide some relief, some needed relief, especially when young people are trying to buy a home, invest in their family, start a business, and begin their life after higher education. So, Mr. President, I would ask that we all come together on this legislation to provide a measure of relief to middle-class families and, by virtue of doing that, to provide an injection, a badly needed injection, into our economy. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.